Welcome to Cosmic Conversations, the podcast where spirituality meets real life. I'm Siobhan, your host, aka the Cosmic Coach, and this is a space where we are going to explore the layers of what make us truly who we are. There's going to be a series of solo episodes along with some incredible guests, a space where we can truly discuss the universe within us all. Hello. It feels so good to be back. We are back, baby. Oh my God, it's so nice to be back this season. Myself and Aideen have been really looking forward to it. It was a nice little break. I mean, I say break, but we were always doing something in the background. But it was nice to have a break, look back on the success and just how well the season 1 of the show has done and the feedback and everyone's insights and what they thought of the show and their favorite episodes and everything. It was just so lovely to look back and see all that. So thank you so much for the love and your time in season 1. It's been incredible so far, and we wanted to come back with season 2 even bigger and better than before. However, not much is changing about the podcast in terms of the structure, because we're quite happy with that and the flow and everything seems to be working nicely there. But we're stepping it up. We are, the guests this season. I'm not going to give any spoilers. There has been a few spoilers that I've given, but they're amazing. They're incredible. Each and every one of them. And I'm just really excited for you to listen and hear their stories as well as the solo episodes. I have some exciting things planned and maybe some cool affiliate link codes. See, I'm not used to this. Some cool codes for you guys coming in for discounts. So just in time for Christmas. So yeah, lots of exciting things in the works. But thank you to anyone listening, whether it's your first episode or you were with me last season. It's so good to have you back, and I feel so excited. I have missed recording, and although recording is like, not that it's lonely, but like I'm on my own when I record. I've missed the community and like the excitement of it dropping every week and hearing your guys' feedback on what you thought of the episode. So it'll be nice to have that momentum again and connect with the audience. For today's episode, I was inspired to record this after reading a book called The 12 Laws of the Universe by Manhardeep Singh. It's an incredibly beautiful book that breaks down each and every simple law of the universe in a really digestible and easy to understand way. And it reminded me of how deeply these principles weave through everything in life, everything that I teach, from self-love to manifestation, everything, even to just, to me, it's like these laws of the universe are essentially like the cheat codes to life, okay? They're energetic principles, and essentially they are, as I go through them, you'll understand, like it explains basically everything in this universe on kind of a quantum level. And so I remember when I read this book, it was probably about a year ago now, and it kind of came back into my memory the last couple of months, and I remember dipping back into it. And when I read it and I had the awareness of all these laws, it was really like so interesting to me, and it gave me so much from like not only clarity and like understanding, but it gave me so much peace in knowing that there's like a law of polarity, a law of divine oneness, everything. It just made me feel really connected to not only the people around me but the world, and that I suppose, like I said, like this is like, not that life's a game, but it kind of is, and that there is these like codes, these cheat codes, that if we understand this and adapt this and welcome it into our life, even just having the understanding, it can really help us to, I think, have more like peace with life and trusting in the flow and unfolding of life. And so today's episode, we are going to explore all 12 laws, what they mean, how they show up in our lives, and how we can align with them to create more flow and more peace and more purpose. So the first law, possibly my favorite, is the Law of Divine Oneness. So this law basically says that everything in the universe is connected. Okay, energy, people, thoughts, emotions, nothing is truly separate. And what it basically means is, if you think of, if we break it down here to basic science, everything is atoms, okay? And atom are like the molecules that make up everything, every 3D thing in this reality. And so when you break down the actual atom and look at its core, we know that there's like electrons. I'm probably going to get this wrong. There's like electrons, protons, and neutrons, I think. But essentially, it's energy at the center and the core. And so all these things, all these atoms are compacted really tightly together, and they make the physical object in our 3D reality. And so if everything is energy, it all comes from one source. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So considering that everything is made up of energy, and energy cannot be created or destroyed, it is all connected. It's like it all comes from the same source. It's just all vibrating at a different level. So the table is vibrating at a different level to my car, which is vibrating at a different level to my mic, to me. They all hold a vibrational frequency. And this really ties into the whole idea of what you send out, you get back. If you're sending out a certain vibration, you can only receive back whatever vibration you're on. So you can't receive a higher vibration back to you if you're not on that vibration. Similarly, you can't receive a lower vibration back to you if you're not on a lower vibration. So for example, when you send out love and kindness, that energy ripples through the collective field. Okay, and it comes back to you. The more love that you admit, the more connected and supported you feel, because it comes back to you. I know we're only straight into this episode, and I'm like, send out love, guys, but it's true. And that's something that I love about the Law of Divine Oneness, because the energy you put out there is what you get back. Like, you probably notice, like, if you have a bad day, like you start off your day, maybe your alarm was late, maybe you spill your coffee, you stub your toe, whatever it is, you're going to be a little bit annoyed. We're going to be starting off our day a little bit pissed off. We carry that energy. All of a sudden, there's emails that are, we forgot to send, or appointments that we miss, or whatever it is. It just ripples into our whole day. And so it really, really is true. So why not take that and use it to your pleasure and your advantage, and send out good energy. And if you judge someone harshly, you're actually reinforcing judgment on yourself. Everything is connected. It all comes back to you. So practicing things like compassion will instantly help align you with the oneness. And a little integration tip with this would be to see yourself in others. So when you're triggered, what part of me is this showing me? Like, if you're triggered in anything, if it's something happening in the world, if it's something happening in another person, if it's the state of the planet or whatever it might be, it's all to do with within too. You know what I mean? It's all a projection. So that law is it's kind of a big one, and sometimes it's hard to digest and kind of like actually understand. But we are all connected. We are all one, and especially people and animals. We're all on plants. Jesus, everything. We're all one. We were all expressions of source energy. We're all expressions of whatever it is you believe in. Source energy, God, we all come from that. We all contain that within us, and that light and that essence, that soul, whatever it is spirit. And so another thing that I kind of resonate with as well, is that we have God within us. And that's something that I kind of understood as I connected with this law, is that, even you think of Christ consciousness or Jesus Christ, Jesus wasn't like, follow me, I'm your leader now, like you all have to do as I say. No, he was saying, like, follow me, like you can do this too. You can achieve Christ consciousness. You can awaken yourself to your own gifts. You can heal yourself. Like, he was an energy healer. That's what he was doing. And so I'm going off a little bit of tangent here, but that's what I like about this law, is that we're all connected. We are part of that beauty that we see in the world, the beauty that you see in nature and in children's laughter and connecting with your friends. You are part of that. We're all one. And so I love this law. I love them all, but this one is lovely. Another thing to know is, like, when you understand these laws, life stops feeling random. You start to realize that you're the creator and that you're never stuck. And I think that's what I was trying to say at the start of this episode, is like, you're not actually unlucky. You're simply working with universal energy, and consciously or unconsciously, whether you know that or not. It's kind of like the law of attraction, law of vibration, which we'll get into, manifestation. It's all connected through these laws. So yeah, just your reminder. So law number 2 is the law of vibration. Everything in the universe vibrates: sound, light, thoughts, emotion, and even matter, objects. for the car that you're sitting in or the floor that you're standing on. Nothing is truly solid. And I know I touched off this in the last law, but it's all energy moving at different frequencies. It's actually, isn't that scary? Like nothing's actually solid. It's just all atoms compacted together. That's actually mad. Like what? Your vibration determines the quality of your experiences. Low vibrations like fear, anger, or jealousy would attract similar experiences. Higher vibrations like love, gratitude, and joy magnetize opportunities and synchronicities and miracles. Love and joy are probably two of the highest vibrations. Love and joy, I meant to say love and gratitude, but maybe joy wants to be in there as well. Gratitude is so powerful in helping to shift your vibration. And I actually did the Magic 28-day challenge in my community on the cosmiccoach.ie on Instagram. And it was so lovely because like I always find when I do the magic, I go through like a lull stage of it, like, oh, like why did I sign up for this? Because like every single day you have to commit to it. But I find it's when I push through that and I actually like dig deep and I'm like, no, I'm doing this because I know that it's going to help me. I know it's going to improve my mindset. I know it's going to improve my life and what I'm attracting to myself. And it really does, like the power of gratitude. You actually, like part of it is you have to say 10 things you're grateful for every day. And you literally just start training yourself to like think of, oh, what are my 10 things from yesterday or today? And it's really nice. And so if you're looking to do something like just quickly shift your vibration or your mood, gratitude. What are you grateful for today? It's a lovely thing. And yeah, similar to that kind of example I gave earlier of starting off your day on the wrong foot, that energy then that you're carrying around, it just comes back to you and ripples back. It's kind of like karma. Like, yeah, it's like karma. Like what goes around comes around. Like, and if you are, you know, if you're going to act out of an unhealed place, if you're going to do things that's not really for the highest good, if it's not from a loving place, it's going to come back to you. But you have a choice to address it, to change it, to heal it, and to do better. And that's a power in change, I think. So an amazing way to start your day intentionally and to make sure that you have a really high vibration would be through meditation. Meditation is amazing at raising your vibration. You're being really present with your mind and you're focusing on one thing. Movement to exercise is incredible at raising your vibration. Music that lifts your frequency. I love to listen to high frequency music. I remember when my son was younger, actually, I used to put it on like every single morning. Now if I try to put it on, he's like, no, put on Bluey or something. But I remember like when I would get away with it, sometimes I do now, I just put it on like the Alexa or whatever, high vibrational music, and I just remember like the start to our day would just be so calm and he'd just play with his toys and I would feel so calm and grounded, and that was the energy I was bringing into my day. And again, that was actually, you know, I was going through a really hard time and I was actually doing that, funnily enough, and it really, really helped me. So listening to high vibrational music or just music that makes you feel good could be really nice in helping you to raise that vibration. Because when you raise your vibration, your entire reality recalibrates to meet it. Law number 3 is the law of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. This law teaches us that our outer world is a mirror of our inner world. If your environment feels chaotic, then your mind probably is too. If your relationships feel disconnected, perhaps you're disconnected from yourself. When I used to struggle with self-worth, I attracted friendships and partners and scenarios and situations into my life with that lack back to me. I just felt like people didn't see my value, or I didn't see my own value, to be honest. I didn't see my worth, and I just didn't value myself and have a lot of self-worth. And so I was kind of just in these toxic patterns of, you know, I mentioned before, my Instagram, of gossiping, judging, all of that. And that was because as within, so without, I was projecting out of me what was already within me. And it's so true. Like, you want to know what someone thinks about themselves, if you want to know how someone feels about themselves, listen. Just listen to them, because they will tell you probably within the first few minutes of meeting them. Like, do you ever get, if you meet someone and like the first thing they do is like say something about someone else or like gossip or something, it's like, really feel that about yourself? Do you know what I mean? And this is not judgment either. It's just allowing yourself to bring curiosity to it will help you. Like, understanding people is like one of the the biggest things I think in communication, because it's like, wow, okay, like this is what's going on for you. And especially as a coach, it's something that I would do. I'm like, what are they not saying that's actually a projection of their inner world? And it's really, really interesting. You know, someone who maybe has a lot of fear, who's afraid of life, you'll pick that up. Someone who is, you know, the opposite, incredibly open and joyful, you'll hear that in their tone and their voice and what they say. So, yeah, as above, so below, and as within, so without. So when I started to cultivate self-love, my external world shifted because my internal world was shifting. This is what this law explains to us. And everything did change for me. Like, I will say it felt weird. There weren't always good changes. I went through a lot of relationships ending. You know, just changing my entire career, questioning my whole life. It was uncomfortable change, but it was necessary change for me to get to where I wanted to be. And how you can do this, how you can work with the law of correspondence is clean your space. When you feel mentally overwhelmed, the energy will start moving again if you clean your space, declutter your space. Because as I say, your room and your home is a projection of your mind. And journaling to identify your patterns. So what's showing up externally that mirrors something inside of me? Difficult question maybe to ask yourself, but it will give you so much answer. So it would be a nice one to do maybe after meditation, when you can really sit with the information and allow it to flow. This law invites you to take radical ownership. You're not a victim of your life. You are a mirror maker. So look in the mirror and what is it telling? Law number 4, the law of attraction. Probably the most popular law. Everybody's heard of the law of attraction, okay? It is just the celebrity of the laws. And you know, that's thanks to the book The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, and also, you know, things like TikTok and just online, everyone talks about the law of attraction and the law of manifestation and everything. Well, not the law of manifestation, sorry, just manifestation, but it's one of the most, it's a beautiful law, and I'll explain it now. I'm sure you already know, but this law gets so much attention. But the interesting thing with these laws is they all work in unison. Like, if you are aware of law of attraction, amazing. You'll probably bring some really cool things into your life. But if you're aware of all the laws, if you understand all the laws and start to actually work with them, welcome them into your life, just adapt their energy and be aware of them, you amplify every single one because they're all connected. But essentially the law of attraction says that like attracts like. So not just through thoughts alone, but through vibration. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Louder for the people in the back, please. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you are wanting more love in your life, be love. Show yourself love. Show up more loving. If you want more friendships, show up as a good friend. Be a good friend to yourself. How would a good friend act in your life? If you want more financial abundance, change your attitude towards money. Have a good relationship with money. Express gratitude towards money. Become the thing that you want, and that's how you attract it. And that's, I think, the hardest thing with law of attraction is it's not just, you know, visualizing, journaling, asking the universe, and then assuming it's yours, speaking it in the present tense. Like, all of that helps, but you really have to like be with it. And then of course a big part of law of attraction is just to let it go and trust it will come back to you. But changing your vibration to meet it is so important, because it can't come to you if it's not on your vibration. And like, if you're constantly saying, I want a relationship, I want love, you're broadcasting the lack, because you're saying, well, if I want it, I don't have it. So you need to say, I am love. I'm worthy of love. I'm deserving of love. Love will find me. Love always finds me. My soulmate isn't making it their way to me. I don't chase, I attract. Whatever it is, changing the words is so powerful, and embodying that. You know, if you say, yeah, literally my notes here is like, say that you are love, and then I'm like, yeah, you already said it, girl. Say that you are love. Say that you are the thing that you want, and embody it. And that's when you really, really actually bring it to yourself. If you want financial abundance, this is probably the biggest one that people look to the law of attraction for. I know for myself, especially when I was younger, I'm like, oh, I want more money, I'm going to do law of attraction. But if you feel scarcity around the time that you pay a bill, you're pushing that abundance away energetically. If you feel resentment when you have to pay bills, car tax, car parking tickets, even for groceries. If you're like, oh my God, that cost me so much money. If that's the energy you're putting out to your money, unfortunately, that's the energy you're always going to feel that way towards your money. So how about next time being like, okay, so grateful that I was able to pay my car tax. So grateful that I could go to shops and buy some dinner. Whatever it is, like, even if it's hard, and I know times are hard right now, I do know that, and especially with the cost of living crisis and the housing crisis and everything, it's really, really difficult for people. But what can you be grateful for? There's always something you can be grateful for, especially when it comes to your money. Even if it's just buying yourself, the essentials, and having some clothes on your back that you paid for, express gratitude for that, and that's the energy you will bring back. Some other tips on how to work with the law of attraction: visualize your desire as it's already done. So whether it's in meditation or just closing your eyes and taking a few deep breaths, what is the thing that you want? Visualize it. The power of visualization. I think I've said before about this Joe Dispenza experiment. I'll probably just share it now anyways, in case anyone hasn't heard it, but the power of visualization is so, so, so underestimated. Joe Dispenza writes about in his book, Break the Habit of Being Yourself, that there was this experiment that they did, okay? And this experiment was basically with two test groups. One test group practiced playing the piano every single day, okay? They would learn the notes, learn the songs, practice day in, day out. The other group would just visualize themselves practicing the piano. So they would visualize themselves playing the keys, playing the notes, playing the songs, but they would never actually touch a piano. When it came to the end of the experiment, they looked at both of the test subjects' brains, and the people in Group A and Group B had made and formed the exact same neural pathways. So the people that actually practiced playing the piano and learned how to play it versus the people that just visualized it had made the same neural pathways in their mind. What does that tell us? The brain does not know the difference between a visualization, imagination, or a lived experience, especially when it's repetitive over and over. So this just shows us the power of visualization. If you are visualizing yourself in the scenario, in the feeling, in the place that you really want and desire, it's going to really, really help amplify and bring whatever it is you're attracting to yourself. And then, of course, surrounding yourself with the environments that match the frequency of your dream. So, of course, if you, I don't know, what's coming to mind is if you're manifesting, a certain goals for your health, for your physical health and your mental health, and maybe it's connected with the gym or something, you want to achieve something. Well, you're not gonna not be bad, but sitting in a pub every weekend or getting a takeaway 3 nights a week or whatever it is not going to support your visualization, your dream of, if let's just say completing a high rocks or something. And of course, you got to be doing that out of a place of love. By the way, you can't be doing that out of a place of proving something to yourself or your body, but that's a whole other topic. You got to do this exercise from a place of love. Anyways, surrounding yourself with environments that are going to support your manifestations is really, really important. And when your vibration aligns with your vision, manifestation becomes effortless. And it is possible for us all. You're all manifesting constantly, 24/7, every second of the day. Your reality is a product of your manifestations in your inner world. Okay, we spent a lot of time on that one. Number 5, the law of inspired action. Manifestation isn't just thinking about it, it's doing in alignment with your intuition. This law teaches us that once you set an intention, the universe responds by presenting nudges, opportunities, and intuitive ideas. But it's up to you to take action. If you want to start a business, and suddenly you feel guided to reach out to someone, or maybe you want to collaborate with someone, or you want to go to a networking event, or there's a freaking leaflet that comes in your door, something about an offering, and you go with it. You listen to your gut, you listen to the aha moment, the little ding in your mind. That is inspired action. And it's not about hustling or forcing it or it's nothing to do with force. It's more about trusting the flow and the little opportunities that come to you from the universe as you open yourself up to whatever it is that you're trying to call in, and taking the inspired action when the universe brings it to you. It could be literally sparking conversation with someone and you're not really sure why, and then all of a sudden you find out They're the exact person that you have been looking to work with, or the exact person that you would love to be friends with, or whatever it is. So take the inspired action. It's about following that gentle pull, because it's coming from your higher self, your angels, the universe, whatever it is that you connect with. So you can do this after meditating or visualizing, and ask, what's one small step I can take today towards this goal, this manifestation, and then act on it. Even if it's imperfect, it doesn't have to be perfect. And every inspired action that you do and that you take will tell the universe that you are ready. You are ready for all of your dreams to come true. Number 6, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. That's a mouthful. This law is about alchemizing energy, transforming low vibrations into higher ones. We are all alchemists, okay? This is something that we all do all the time. Just got chills. That's amazing. Like, what? Energy is everything, okay? And energy is constantly moving, shifting, and transforming. Although it cannot be created or destroyed, it can change forms. And you can change how energy moves through you. Even like emotions, okay? Emotions are energy. Energy in motion is emotions. You have the power to shift that and to change that. You can alchemize that. If you go through hard times, if you go through something difficult, if you're just going through a bit of a lull or a rut, coming out of that, getting through that, braving that, and getting out the other side, that is alchemy. Like, you're alchemizing. If you feel anger, instead of suppressing it, move it. Like, let it out. Cry, dance, scream, punch the pillow, whatever it is. Like, let that energy move, and watch it shift into empowerment or creativity. You know, often anger, when channeled correctly, can become really, really creative. You know, sadness for me, even recently, I was really just sitting with my sadness and allowing it to flow out of me, and it turned into compassion. I had so much compassion for myself, because I met myself where I was at, and I was like, okay, you just got to be sad for a little while. That's okay. I alchemized. I changed that emotion from a negative vibration into a positive one. So remind yourself when something feels heavy, like this energy, and you know, whatever it is, it's energy, and it can change. You can change its form, and you can change it. You can turn pain into purpose. Turn your fear into fuel, and you know, even your wounds into wisdom, because there's always a lesson, and there's always learning, and there's always something that we can take from it. I remember that nothing is stuck forever, and that's what this law reminds us, and that's what I love about this law. You can transmute, and you can work through it. Number 7, the law of cause and effect, or aka karma. So I know I mentioned karma earlier. This law basically says that every thought, and a lot of these laws, you might seem like, oh, they seem quite repetitive. They are, but it's because they're all so connected. Every thought, word, or action creates an energetic ripple that returns to you. And this isn't about like the universe punishing you, or like being like, haha, you thought a bad thought today, I'm going to give you a bad situation. It's not about that. It's just a law. It just is. It's about an energetic balance. So the universe is a perfect feedback system. It's going to constantly show you what you think about yourself, what you think about the world, how you view the world, and how you are showing up in the world. If you know, again, plant seeds of betrayal, negativity, gossip, you'll eventually experience the same energy, okay? You will. And it will come back. What goes around comes around. And this is essentially this law too, you know, goes around, goes around, goes around. If we had a song for this law, comes all the way back around. I know Aideen will love that. But if you plant seeds of love, of honesty, of, you know, service, of compassion, you'll receive them multiplied. So asking yourself, you know, what am I creating with this thought? What are your thoughts creating? This law also reminds me of that saying, I think it could be out of the Bible, that says, do unto others as you would want others to do unto you. And it's a powerful one, because, you know, when you ask yourself, what seed am I planting with this thought? What energy is this thought going to bring back to me? And like, you know, a big one at the moment, and I'm careful when I say this, because I say this in almost every episode, but I never want to offend or hurt anyone. There's a lot going on in the world right now, okay? We just have to look at the news or even social media to see how much pain and suffering and just pure hatred and evil is going on in the world. And I'm conscious that, some people get really, really taken down and taken aback by this, and incredibly grateful for the advocates and the people that share the message, because they're so important in expressing and using their voice. But my point of this is that, sometimes, and I'm one of these people, that if I look at articles, photos, if I spend a lot of time reading about these things, my thoughts become very dark, very, very dark, to the point where I remember, even when my son was smaller, I was having these really weird thoughts because I was absorbing the negativity in the world. And I remember I couldn't even walk over a bridge with my son in a buggy, because you can imagine where my thoughts were going. It just gave me anxiety. And so I suppose the message with this, and I don't know why this is coming through, so maybe this will resonate for someone, is just to protect your thoughts, okay? Of course, we need to be aware. We cannot be naive. We cannot be ignorant to what's going on in the world, especially when we're in such a privileged position. We have to honor and hold space for that pain, but also protect your mind too. Are you fueling your mind with love? Then can you switch off? Are you going to go and do a workout, or spend some time in nature and practice gratitude for what you have? Would be a beautiful way of raising your vibration with that, because when you raise your vibration, you're not going to send negativity back to that situation, whatever it is going on in the world, different wars, crises, everything. If you raise vibration, you can send them a higher vibration, so sending them love. And that's what I like to do. But we can only do that when we're in a place of feeling love. So just a little reminder of minding your thoughts and remembering that what you put out there is what you get back. So if you choose to see just evil and hatred in the world, that's what's going to show up for you. So I choose to acknowledge it, but I also choose to see love in the world too. So that's my message for this one. Number 8, the law of compensation. This law then continues to build on karma. It's about the rewards that come from your energetic investments. Everything that you put out comes back, though not always in the way that you expect, or exactly when you expect, or in the moment that you expect. So, for example, this one is kind of like saying trust the process, okay? Maybe you've been showing up online, helping others, spreading light, sharing your gifts, sharing your purpose, and just connecting with people. And you feel like no one notices. Maybe you feel like this is a means to no end. This is not, doing the thing that I thought it was going to do. And I'm going to put my hand up and say, here is your sister, because I have been there, okay? I still be there sometimes. It can be hard. However, we have to trust that this law tells us, okay, the law of compensation tells us, behind the scenes, the universe is accumulating your blessings. It is all building. And again, it comes back to that trusting the process. It's not like a sense of, oh, I gave someone a compliment today, so tomorrow the universe is going to bring me 5 clients, or whatever it is. It just doesn't, there's no time limit with it, and we have to trust in it as well. And your good energy is building in the background and will come back to you. And so compensation might show up later as new opportunities, kind of a really aligned friendship, new unexpected financial flow. It's not always going to come in the way that you maybe expect it. So, and the word expect and expectations is something that I'm trying to take in my vocabulary through my own personal stuff, but just not having so much pressure or weight sitting on the outcome, and just trusting and allowing it to come to you. And it really does. And how can you use this law or work with this law? Keep giving from a place of integrity. Keep doing it from a place of love. Keep connecting with whatever it is you're passionate about, or that you enjoy, or just simply makes you smile. Do that thing and share it. Literally do that thing and share it. And not for recognition, not for praise, not even for financial gain, because at the end of the day, you've got to be doing these things from a place of love. And when you do, like attracts likes, karma, law of compensation, it will all come back to you, and the opportunities will come back to you as well. Trust in divine timing, and what's meant for you won't miss you. I really, really, really believe in that. God, I believe in that. What's for you will not pass you. Number 9, the law of relativity. This one, is interesting, and again, might be a hard one to grasp, so stay with me. But this law teaches that nothing is inherently good or bad. Everything just is. We assign meaning to things based off of our perception of them. So, and this one's kind of a hard one because we're so attached to that. Like, we're so attached to, but this thing is bad. If you do this, it's bad. That experience is bad. But I think this is maybe connected to like beliefs of monks and stuff as well. I'm not really sure, so I could be wrong, but that they kind of just view life as like everything is. And I think it's ego that just attaches meaning to everything. And then we have things like society, and society tells us what's right and wrong, and opinions and all of that, and it all just kind of accumulates into this is good and this is bad. But this law basically breaks everything down into it's just a thing, and you're going to attach the meaning to it. So, and for example, things like challenges aren't there to punish you, even if they feel like they're a bad thing. They're not there to punish you, but they're there to show you how strong you are. An example could be, a breakup. A breakup could feel devastating. It could feel like a failure. It could feel like you wasted your time. But in hindsight, it could be the actual catalyst that's leading you to your purpose, leading you to your soulmate, leading you to the connection that you're always meant to have. So, this law can kind of help us to have that perspective. And, when life feels hard, you can zoom out and just ask yourself, what could this be teaching me? Or what could be the silver lining here? What could this be leading me to? And allowing the kind of law of relativity to help you zoom out and have that perspective. And comparison also falls under this law. So, not measuring your journey to anyone else's, because as we know, our paths are all different and unique and designed for us. And something that we chose long before we came here. So trusting in that and not comparing yourself. Your soul knows your curriculum, and your path, your journey is unique. Number 10, we are getting through them, guys. The law of polarity. I love this one. I love this one. I don't know why I love this one so much. But I love this one because the work I do. This law essentially tells us that everything has an opposite: light and dark, joy and sadness, expansion and contraction, up and down. Okay. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh yay, there's also dark as well as light. No, I look at it from the perspective of, without dark, we couldn't have light. Without, sadness, we couldn't have joy. Without contraction or restriction, we couldn't have expansion. So all of these things coexist in harmony. And one, we can't have one without the other. And maybe this can be, a bit of perspective or a bit of like enlightenment for you, that like if you're feeling something or experiencing something right now, like the polar of that is out there, and the law of polarity tells us that you will experience that because you've experienced one version of it, or the opposite of it, I should say. So without one, we wouldn't understand the other. Like, darkness isn't necessarily bad, it's just the contrast that gives light its meaning. Like, could you imagine how little we'd understand or appreciate or feel towards light and towards love if we didn't have darkness to show us shadows, like to show us the absence of that, to show us what life is like without that. Like, if we didn't have that comparison or that contrast, life would be pretty freaking bland. We'd just all be like, I don't know, like fungi or something, just existing, like, and just not doing anything. I don't know why I said fungi. They come from the darkness into the light, don't they? So it's just, I love this law because it can really show us that. And it reminds us of the ebbs and flows of life too, that we go through one and then the other. So I love this law. I really do. And again, I keep kind of using the same examples, but like for heartbreak, if you go through heartbreak, it just means that your capacity to hold love will deepen. The level of love you want, the type of love you want, your understanding will deepen too. Your fear of rejection, that is an opportunity for you to experience self-acceptance. Your, self-sabotage or, lack of self-worth. The polarity of that is self-belief, self-love, feeling worthy. Like, you can hold that capacity too. You can hold the exact opposite of whatever it is that you're holding now. And remembering that the lower ones, the bad ones, the negative ones, Without them, we would not appreciate the good ones, and we wouldn't, because life would just be freaking love and light all the time, and how boring would that be? So remembering that you came here to experience this, and that the law of polarity shows us that everything will bounce again, and things will have to swing. So if you're in a shadow season, remind yourself that the opposite also exists, and that your joy is on its way to you. Polarity creates balance and helps us to evolve. On to number 11, the law of rhythm. This law tells us that everything in the universe moves in cycles. The tides, the moon, the seasons, even your breath. And this law reminds you that life isn't meant to be constant expansion, constant go, constant drive, constant up. There are natural ebbs and flows, time to rest, time to rise. And even just thinking about the sun and the moon, bright, awake, dark, rest, give, receive, you know, this law reminds us to stay in the rhythm of life and to move with the flow of life, especially, we're coming into the darker months, the winter season. And it's just mad to me that, like, I'm sure it's mad to a lot of people that the new year is in January and, tinfoil hats on, but it's not actually meant to be then. They changed it because who the hell wants to be going after their freaking New Year's resolutions in the darkness of January? Like, we're meant to be hibernating and resting. And so moving with the flow of life, moving with the seasons, allow yourself to adapt. This is a time of going inward and planting the seeds of the new spring to come. So yeah, this is kind of a reminder of that. And if you're in, if you feel like you're in a winter season of your life, not just with the seasons, but in just where you're at right now, it's not a failure, or it's not a negative thing. It's actually quite a beautiful thing, because it's like incubation. You're incubating, and you're growing, and you're receiving, and you're like intention. The word intention is coming too. And you will bloom, and the next bloom is coming. You just are preparing for it right now. And this is the most important part, okay? The stronger and brighter and happier and larger that we bloom all depends on how much growing and resting and nurturing that we do to ourselves. So honor your body's rhythms, whether it's your menstrual cycle, your moods, or just simply the need for rest. Or maybe the need for go. Maybe you got so much energy and you gotta go. You gotta honor those rhythms and those routines, and know, again, that it ebbs and flows, and ride the waves. Trust that your downtime is divine, and rest is a form of creation. We can't create without rest, because we can't be constantly giving. We have to receive the inspiration. We have to receive the clarity. We have to receive the creation. So when you align with that rhythm of life, instead of resisting it, you'll find peace. You really will. The 12th law is the law of gender. So this law isn't about biological gender. It talks about the masculine and the feminine energies that exist in all things. So I know I've probably touched on this in previous episodes, but as we all know, as human beings, we all carry a divine feminine and divine masculine energy. And our right side is our masculine and our left is our feminine. And so our masculine is like the sun. It is energy, it's logic, it's structure, and it's doing. Okay, it's very much action based, and it's bright, and it's awake, and it's daytime, and it's go. And then feminine energy is intuition, it's flow, creativity, being, receiving. It's the darkness of the moon. And of course, we couldn't have daylight all day long because we'd be exhausted, in the same way we can't have nighttime all the time because we get nothing done. So we need to have the beautiful balance between the two. So, if you feel like they're always doing, or maybe just checking in with yourself, is your masculine and feminine energy in balance? And so often, especially in healings, or when clients come to me for readings, or even just coaching clients, so often it's our masculine and our feminine energies are just out of balance. Especially the world that we live in, we're very much called to be in our masculine. That hustle, grind culture, show up, you gotta go get it. It's like, it's very, very masculine. And especially for myself in navigating just business and and everything, I've had to really learn how to create the balance between the two, because I create best and I channel best and I work best when I'm in my feminine, but then of course I require my masculine to actually do. Um, so yeah, it's just about finding that beautiful balance between the two. So if you're always doing without resting, you'll burn yourself out. And same way, if you're always just pondering or dreaming and not really taking action, then nothing will happen and your visions won't come into reality, and things won't grow. So you've got to have that beautiful balance between the two. So, even asking yourself things like, am I in flow or am I in force? Knowing if you're, or feeling if you're in flow or force would be a really good indicator in whether you're in balance or not. And then, are you listening or receiving or just doing? Because your feminine receives inspiration and the masculine will bring it into form. So we really need both. And when they dance together, creation flows effortless. And so that is the 12 laws of the universe. If you wanted to go a little bit more in depth into the laws, there obviously is a lot more information. This is just like tipping the iceberg here. I would definitely recommend that book. I'll link in the show notes, or I should say Aideen will link in the show notes. It's a really great book, and like I said, it just reminds us that life is not random. It's a beautiful mirage and masterpiece of energy and intention and divine timing, and these laws are essentially the cheat codes to life, okay? Because once you understand them and how the universe works, you can stop resisting it and start co-creating with it and start just living in alignment. You begin to see everything as feedback and not failure. And that's a massive one for me. I start to see meaning in everything. And every emotion is energy and not a flaw, and every desire as divine guidance and inspired action and not just a coincidence. This idea or this thought is coming to me for a reason. This emotion needs to flow through me, whatever it is. It can give you so much, these laws. So, take what resonates from today's episode with you and start playing around with these laws, in your daily life. Notice the synchronicities, see the shifts, the ease that comes with when you move in harmony with these laws and with the universe instead of against it. Because, my loves, remember that you are the universe. You are cosmic, okay? You have the universe within you. Like this podcast says, discuss the universe within. And these laws are the foundation of that universe. So for today's Cosmic Confession segment, yes, we are back with Cosmic Confession. So remember to send in your confessions, your dilemmas, your life questions, whatever it is. And we'll chat about it on the pod. And you never know, someone else might be just going through or experiencing the exact same thing as you. And maybe there'll be some perspective or a teeny bit of advice or a nugget of information that I can offer you. So today's Cosmic Confession, today's Cosmic Confession is coming in from a lovely listener, and she is saying, a few months ago I had a fallout with one of my really good friends. Although I did try to extend an olive branch to them a while ago, I haven't heard or seen from them in months. I have so much love for this person, but I'm finding that the more time that passes between us, the more bitter I get about the thoughts of any sort of reconciliation. It's been on my mind a little more than usual recently, because I know that the likelihood of us being around each other in the next few months, especially coming up to Christmas, is very likely. When I think about seeing them, it fills me with dread and anxiety. I know my higher self wants to be graceful and forgiving, but part of me, and probably my ego, is holding on to too much pride, and I almost don't want to be the bigger person. I get super stressed thinking about it, about what way I'll conduct myself or act, but I know I don't like the version of myself that is holding on to this bad energy. But I find it's easier said than done than to just move on with it. I feel you, girl. Thank you so much for sending that in. Yeah, it's a difficult one. It's because, there's a wound, there's a wound and there's pain. And like you mentioned, extending an olive branch, and yeah, it is our ego that gets wounded. It's also our ego that says, oh my God, what a great friend they are, or they did so much for me, or we had such a great connection. It's all ego. But for sure, like, I think just like holding space for alone, like that pain and that wound, and like, God, friendship breakups are so hard. Like, they really are, because it's not really like relationships where there's an argument or there's a breakup or even just a closure conversation. Friendship breakups just happen, and it's like there's no nobody talks anymore, and it's just so many questions left unanswered, and it's really can be frustrating and hard to find peace with. And I can really relate to this listener. And I understand, the whole kind of resentment and towards them, and not wanting to be the bigger person because you feel hard done by. And I get that. And it's hard, but I think the most powerful thing that you're doing, and that you named, is that you don't like the version of yourself that this has brought out of you. You don't like the version of yourself that this has, you know, um, that this could potentially trigger. And having that awareness alone is so powerful. So, what I would say to this person is, of course, forgiveness is hard. But I think having compassion for yourself and that wound, maybe it just takes a little bit more time to heal, and that's okay. And with being around this person at Christmas, God, it's hard. It is hard, especially when it's a big extended group. But hold your own. You know how to hold your own. You know how to be, a kind, a confident, a loving person. You know your worth. Just how powerful you are, and standing in that, and remembering that anything at the end of the day that person has said or has done or will say or could do, anything that they're projecting onto you in this situation, it really is just about themselves. Okay, remembering what the laws told us in this episode, it is just about themselves. Okay. And remember, you're more powerful than you think. Project out the energy that you want to receive back. If you only send out love and compassion and whatever it is, forgiveness, you'll only receive that back. And even if they are coming from a place of, maybe they won't be, maybe they'll be expressing the same too, and things will be fine. Or maybe, they'll still have some bitterness or resentment, and that's their journey. But it won't reach you because you won't be in that vibration. But I think the big thing coming in for this person too is compassion. I just feel like that wound is probably just so sore for you, and that's okay too, and talking to other friends about it would be so beneficial and supportive for you too. And I feel like, another thing just to mention before I move on is, when we go through spiritual awakenings, and I feel like anyone even listening to this podcast is definitely going through some form of spiritual shift or awakening, we lose friends. We can't stay friends with people who are not on the same journey. That's not to say that we're better than anyone, or that I'm spiritually awakening and you're not, but it's just to say maybe they are, but they're just going a different route. We can't. They can't exist on our frequency and on our plane. Especially that energy. And again, like taking that perspective, like this episode talked about, and just being like, okay, well, what friendships has this opened up for me? What's possible now? What opportunities? What other people could I meet? And just taking it as an opportunity to look at it that way. But thank you for sharing, and I'm sending you so much love. So for our affirmation of the week segment, I am using my affirmation cards that are for sale. Thank you so much everyone who has placed an order. It's so exciting to see people actually have the affirmation cards and work with them and use them and love them. I'm so passionate about them, and they're like my babies, my other babies, so I love them so much. And if you enjoy the affirmation of the week segment and would like to get your hands on your own deck, then the link in my bio at thecosmiccoach.ie, you can get your own deck. The affirmation for this week is, I have faith in the divine timing of my life. I have faith in the divine timing of my life. Let this one be sang from the mountaintops. It's one that I think really, we can look at it and be like, yeah, sure, I trust in divine timing, but it's also one that can be hard to fall in flow with this affirmation. I find that this affirmation can be one of the more challenging ones to embody, especially if you're waiting for something, a relationship, a job, your business, friendship, a baby, whatever it is you're waiting for. It can be hard to trust in the divine timing, and I get that. But remembering again what this episode taught us, and what these affirmations can offer us too, when we align with that energy, you having faith in the divine timing of your life. Everything happens when it should, as it should. Okay, and trusting in that, and it'll all make sense when it happens and when it all unfolds. And so taking this affirmation with you into your week, or into the next few weeks, if you feel you need to, if you feel like it's something that you are having a hard time trusting and having faith in, the divine timing of your life, it will all work out exactly when it's meant to. Thank you for tuning into Cosmic Conversations. If you enjoyed this episode, then please let me know. Maybe consider leaving a 5-star review or a comment on what you thought. I'd love to hear suggestions and feedback on any topics you'd like me to explore or unpack, or maybe a guest that you'd like me to have on so I can pick their brain. If you have a cosmic confession or a dilemma that you'd like me to explore next week, then please send it my way on Instagram at Cosmic Conversations Pod or email thecosmiccoach.ie@gmail.com. Thank you and see you next week.